6 Oscar winners. We've had 2 Osmonds. We've had 2 Miss Americas. We've had 1 ex-Village People. Uh, 1,000 versions of Orange Colored Sky. What started as this weird showbiz side gig has become just a huge part of my life.
All right, welcome to Star Power. It is James Barbour, and I'm laughing because I have one of my dearest friends on who I've known forever, like since dirt. And every time I'm around him, I didn't say you were that old. We're both that old. Um, I just laugh because you bring me such joy. That is Jim Caruso.
Oh,
Welcome to Star Power.
thank you very much. I'm
Yes,
going to keep doing that
yeah.
as if we're in the same room, as
It
if we're on
reminds
the
me. I did 1940s radio hour one time.
podcast. Yes.
And which I love the show, and I played Johnny Cantone. And the character is like, like not a has been, but we played him like he was moving on, and there was somebody coming to take his place. And when he enters, they had people applauding outside, like pretending behind the set as if he had fans, right? And he was being followed. But the
Right.
whole idea to me was that he probably hired those people to come and applaud, to make it seem like he was doing that. So that, like,
I have
oh,
those people in the other room.
right. Well, I'm grateful that you decided to come on, and I've known you again like for years. We do my holiday show at Birdland. We've been doing it there for eons, and other shows there. We've done tons of concerts there, and you have Cast Party there. And for those folks that don't know you or don't know who you are, I mean, and obviously you're a performer, you're a host, you're a business person, which is something that I want to talk about as well because artists tend not to understand the business of things, and I want to
Yeah.
dive into that. So like give us like a little snippet of how you got to where you got in the entertainment world.
God.
30
Um,
seconds.
yeah. Oh, okay. Perfect.
No, you got
I
plenty.
started out as a kid doing musical theater in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I did every Rodgers and Hammerstein musical in existence. I loved it. I loved it. I moved to Dallas when my mother remarried. The whole family schlepped to Dallas. And I continued doing a lot of theater. I went to college for a hot minute and then thought, no, I'm not going to be a theater major in the ensemble of the Bacchae when I could be working in what was very good community theater and then professional theater in Dallas.
Right.
I was also a singing waiter. I was also a singing and tap dancing telegram guy. I was a dancing Casper the Friendly Ghost in a mall.
I have a
I,
cookie jar of Casper. I've had it since I was having it in my kitchen.
well, see,
Do you still have the costume?
very hot, very
Yeah.
hot, and never hotter than when I was performing in
I
a
I,
mall.
I want to see you, like, if you bring that costume to Birdland during Christmas, you should put it on.
Well, happily, I don't have it. It was one of those enormous heads.
I'm gonna
They
get
gave
you
me
one.
that.
I'm getting you one.
I thought all of that was show business. And in fact, it kind of was
Yeah.
because you learn a lot about what people like and don't like doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was a dancing tampon for the Kimberly Clark convention.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, no
Wow.
photos.
Well,
Boo.
what I wanted to just touch on is you said something about college and then wait, why am I going to go and do this? It's something that I've spoken about. I wrote it in my book too. I have multiple degrees. And then the person that personified this for me is Jordan Donica. When Jordan came in, who's unbelievable, I mean,
Yeah.
incredible talent, right? An incredible human being. When he came into Phantom, he had like taken a semester just like in New York out of school to audition, and he got Raoul in Phantom. Now, this is an anomaly because he's Jordan Donica, but then he got the Frozen workshop, and then he got Lafayette Hamilton and the Lafayette Jefferson and Hamilton tour. Then he got Freddie Einsford Hill and My Fair Lady on. I mean, he just kept going and going and going, and his friends were still in college.
Right.
right?
Exactly.
They're still in
And bitter.
college. He's got like three, and they're running up $200,000 worth of debt, you know.
Right.
And not
Right.
that everybody's going to do that, but I talk now about go and do, specifically in the arts, because
Exactly.
if you're going to be a
I mean,
doctor, a degree makes
frankly,
sense, you know.
if I could have gone to a fantastic theater college
Yeah,
or like Carnegie Mellon or Yale Drama School
yeah,
or one of those things, I mean, I'm sure I would have felt differently. I was in a place just kind of as a placeholder
yeah.
of I think I'm supposed to go to college. And I was taking algebra and things that there is no algebra in life, kids. That I have
Yeah.
never had to use trigonometry once in my
Certainly
life.
not on Broadway.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did take folk dance, which was a hilarious thing.
But even I will tell you this, even people I know people that went to the LMFA program that one became a flight attendant, like they're not
I mean,
like
it doesn't equal success.
it
It
does
doesn't
not.
equal career. Nothing equals a career at all in our scheme of the world.
Right.
Uh, there is no this means this means this.
Right.
Nothing means anything.
There's no
And
corporate
I
ladder.
had a
Right.
vocal group for many years called Wise Guys, and we performed at Carnegie Hall twice in 1 month, open for Liza, open for Joan Rivers, then didn't work for 9 months.
Wow.
So just as soon as you think, well, here we go, nothing means anything
Right.
unless you are one of those incredibly lucky, gifted performers where everything seems to make sense, like Jordan, like Ariana Grande, like
Audra.
Audra, where everything makes sense.
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense in show business
Yeah.
for 90% of us.
Yeah.
So enjoy your day.
And even Ariana, what's interesting is that, you know, she's had an interesting trajectory to get where she is, you
My
know,
God,
all over the
unbelievable. She
place.
used to come to Cast Party
Right.
when
I
she
remember
was
Frankie came to
years
Cast Party
old.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
She
I
was
remember that.
doing 13 on Broadway, which I hadn't seen. I had Jason Robert Brown in concert. I booked the Birdland, Broadway at Birdland concerts, as you
Hmm.
know. Um, Jason came in, Ariana sang. She stuck around for Cast Party. She was this little child in a big party dress and really good shoes. And she sang Aretha Franklin songs.
Yeah.
And our audience was like stunned because she was this big. She was teeny tiny with this enormous voice. And we watched her go from that, being on Broadway in this kind of small show that Jason wrote, to what was the TV show she was on
It was the Disney
Nickelodeon.
show. Yeah.
Yeah. Where
Yeah.
she had like purple hair. And then she started to work into pop music.
Yep.
Then she was playing arenas. Now
Yep.
she's a movie star. It's crazy to
Crazy.
watch that trajectory and
Yeah.
thrilling.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny because it was not the same way, but Tay Diggs sort of the same thing, right? Because
Yeah,
Tay was in, you know, he was in Carousel with us in the ensemble, and then he went to Tokyo Disneyland, and then, you know, then he got this like off-Broadway show called Rent, and
right,
then next thing you know, like he's starring in How Stella Got Her Groove Back, right?
right.
And I remember I was in Jerry's Deli and he walks in, you know, like I'm like, bro, well, like, you know, it's so exciting to see those. And again, one of the sweetest people you'll ever come across,
Well,
you know.
that's the thing is it's hard to be jealous. It's very easy to be jealous and angry in this business
Yeah, very
because
much so.
everybody thinks they should be superstars. Okay, good. Well, a lot of us are not going to be superstars.
Right.
So to be angry about the people that make it is easy. But when these people are so genuine and so delightful and
Mhm.
so loving and giving and gifted, I mean, how can you? Oh, sorry, that's so annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know how to make
No, I
that
love it.
go.
Like I remember when Patrick Wilson did what was the gosh, it was on
Wait, were you
cable.
hearing that ding?
No. Are you
Oh,
getting
okay,
messages?
perfect.
Bing.
That's why I apologize because a text thing happened.
No,
So,
I leave them in. And she goes, bing. Bing.
Okay.
Um, means you're important. Or it's the bill collectors. No, I'm kidding. Um, Patrick Wilson, same thing. Here he is doing this Broadway stuff, and then he gets a movie. Then he does the Angels. Was it Angels in America that they did for right? And I remember I can't remember all the dudes, all the guys. We were doing some reading of something. I think it was Frank Wildhorn's Dracula, and we walked in, and somebody's like, "Did you see Patrick last night?" I'm like, "Yeah," and he goes, he was freaking awesome. Like, you could tell like it's just we want people to succeed and thrive. And now he's Aquaman's brother. Uh
Right.
it's awesome, and the slick back hair.
I mean, the show business community, while there are jealousies and weirdnesses, as in any business,
Yeah.
it's such a mix of grit and glamour and energy and inspiration. And, it makes me happy that so many people, certainly on the Broadway scene, I don't know what it's like in Hollywood, but on the Broadway scene, people are rooting for each other, I
Yeah.
think.
I agree with you. I think there's a work ethic that theater people have in general. I remember doing one of my first television gigs in LA, and I finished my scenes. It was a pilot. I think it went the one season, and I did a guest star on this pilot. And I went back to we had trailers because we were on location, and I hung my costume up, and the wardrobe person came in, and she looked, she went, where's your stuff? I said, oh, it's in the, I hung it up. She goes, you're a theater person, aren't you? And I'm like, how do you know? She goes, because you hung up your costume. It's a
Right.
different world. And I did the pilot of The District with Craig T. Nelson. And the makeup guy one of the makeup guys was the makeup guy for Beauty and the Beast in LA. And I didn't say anything about, the character I played or what I did. The next thing you know, here's Craig T. Nelson coming up and saying, wow, thank you for being here. Thank you for there's a thing
I
about
love
theater
that.
people. It's great, and like there's a work ethic, there's a tenacity. 8 shows a week, 6 days a week, one day off a week. It's a grind. And there is this like I always say that like if we were in any other business, we'd be billionaires. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I've said it myself. Uh, Nobody works harder. I mean, that's, I mean,
Relative.
bricklayer, you know,
Yeah.
I understand the difference, but it's, it's a, it is a grind, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I've never done what you've done, 8 shows a week, years and years and years on end. My one Broadway experience was a show called Liza's at the Palace, starring Liza Minnelli, where I was one of four guys with her. We performed. Kate, her godmother was a woman named Kay Thompson,
Hmm.
who was a vocal arranger at MGM. She also wrote the book Eloise. There's a poster of Eloise right there. So we recreated her nightclub act that she did in the 40s, which was very hip, very cool, unbelievably tight harmonies.
Yeah.
So I did that on Broadway, which was the thrill of my life. Liza, she doesn't play that 8 show a week thing. We did 5 a week. So
Wow.
I would tell my friends, oh my God, I'm kind of tired. We did a bunch of shows last week. Oh, how many do you do? Well, 5. People were furious. They did
Well,
not
it's
want
the
to
it's
hear
the
that I was
Christine thing as
tired.
well. It's like the Phantom does all 8, and the Christine does what, 6, right? Or yeah,
Really?
no,
I didn't even know that.
yeah. There's another Christine, the alternate, who does 2 a week. Um,
Good for her.
yeah, but look, it is what it is. I want to know because we talked about this, and you started something many years ago that has turned into a juggernaut, but it's you shared with me before we went live that it didn't start out, or you didn't start out with the mindset or the realization that you had now, and that's Cast Party. So tell me how that came about. Actually, for people that are not, look, this is all over the place, right? I have major business people that listen. I have entrepreneurs. But what I love about it, he's waving. If you're listening to this on audio, he's waving. So, but go to YouTube and you'll see it there. James Barbour now on YouTube, and you can watch it. But uh, the idea that artists and business oftentimes don't match, but you've done it, and you've done it well, and you've navigated, you've expanded not just to Birdland, you take it around all over the place. So how did that come about, and Where do you see it going?
How did it come about? It's kind of boring, the story, because my intention was not to start a show that'll happen every week and I'll do it for 20 years. I decided to leave show business, and show business, by the way, was furious. I had sung, I had done what I thought I had to do, and had just not gotten particularly successful. And so I decided I would work for a Broadway publicist because I've always been interested in promotion and
Right.
talking about talent and supporting talent and that kind of stuff. So that was interesting. And at one point, the publicist, Pete Sanders, by the way, said to me, they asked me to do press for this little nightclub lounge place called the King Kong Room. Would you take that over? Is that something you'd want to do? And I said, yeah, sure. So it was a cute little room above the Supper Club on 47th Street.
Hmm.
And there was a piano in the corner. Nothing much was going on. So I was writing press releases for drink specials. Thrilling.
Mhm.
And, taking pictures of cocktails. But this is before social media.
Right.
Nobody cared. So at some point, I just thought, I'm going to throw a party because I need some inspiration. So I threw a party. Everybody came. Billy Stritch was at the piano until the wee hours. People were eating and drinking and having a blast until the wee hours. And the next day, the club owner called and said, would you do that every Monday? Monday is the dark night in Broadway,
Right.
the Broadway scene. And I said, what? No, what? He said, just do it. So I did it, and people came, and we did it a few weeks in a row. And all of a sudden, it was a thing. I gave it a name, Cast Party, and David
Which
Raleigh
is a
was
great name, by the way, marketing wise. Did you just pull that out of your you know what, or did you actually think about it?
totally out of my butt.
Wow.
And Liza Minnelli was the one. That's a horrible name drop, and I'm sorry, but she's been a big part of my
Stop.
life.
Like, here's the thing. Like, there are people that are going to listen to this that say, how do I go? Without question, the people that we know and the relationship that we have, we were just talking about it, like our friends of people we know, like, we run into to help each other get along and move forward. So name drop, because it's not name dropping, it's just your life, you know?
Well, it is. And by the way, relations are everything,
Yeah.
everything, everything. It's when people say it's who you know, they are not lying.
Yeah.
Broaden your community. Uh, Take somebody to lunch that you just think is interesting. It doesn't even have to be in your business. Learn about everything. Anyway,
Love
so
that.
Liza said, I love the name Cast Party, but you have to call it Jim Caruso's Cast Party. And it must never be without your name glued to it. And I thought that sounds so arch and
So
so
right.
kind of like, who do you think you are at the time? Now I'm so glad
Hmm.
because it it gave me somebody who had been minorly successful in the cabaret scene. It gave me a presence that I had never had. So she was so right about that. Anyway, so we did it. It started to build. We started to get a lot of the Broadway kids, people like Max von Essen, through his birthday party there. So all of a sudden, these Broadway kids were there, the people that I've always been enamored with and wanting to know. Cabaret people,
There's
jazz
another great
people,
person, Max von Essen.
the best.
Yeah. Bees
I
knees.
mean,
Yeah.
he's one of my favorite humans.
He's an awesome, awesome guy.
Currently starring in Chicago on Broadway.
Is he
Uh,
really? I didn't know that. Is
yeah,
he doing
he's
Billy?
great, Billy. No
Okay.
Roxy,
Yeah.
strangely. No, of course he's Billy.
Of course he's Billy. I should go see him. I want to fly to go see because we're recording this now, but at the date of this, Philip Boykin is going over to replace
Oh,
Patrick Page for a couple of weeks in Hadestown in
right,
London. I was like, I want to
right.
go. I want to go over.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
my excuse, you know.
That's a good excuse.
I know.
You got to support your pals.
I know. Well, I got to support
So
Patrick
anyway,
too. Maybe I'll catch him when they're both doing it.
there you go.
So go ahead.
But
So
that
Max von
place
Essen, you did
closed.
right.
That place closed just as we were starting to really build, and I started to book the room too with
Uh-huh.
people's cabaret acts because it had a decent enough sound system and lights and stuff, and it was a unique new place. They closed, of course. So we moved a couple different places for a couple months, and then Birdland called. Ryan Patternite and Johnny Valenti, the booker and the owner of Birdland, called and said, "We hear you have something going on. We are looking for a Monday slot." What? Birdland? That's a jazz, an iconic jazz room. And in my heart, I was like, they're never going to be into this. Well, we talked. They were into it. And it was, from the word go, jammed. We were lucky enough to get a New York Times piece with big color pictures of stuff. Like the first week, there were lines out the door. It was like, this is really happening.
Yeah.
And from that point on, that's 21 years ago
Wow.
when we opened at Birdland.
Wait, so you were
So
like 10 when you started?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. This light is not that strong. Anybody to believe that.
You and me both.
But I love it. I love it so much. When we first started, it could be like a Night of a Thousand Stars,
Yeah.
and the next Monday would be the Den of Non-Equity. You never knew who was going to walk in or if it was going to be brilliant or weird
Well,
or
explain for people that don't know what Cast Party is. Can you
oh,
explain the
yes.
the scenario?
Yes. It's essentially an open mic night. What makes it extreme is the fact that I have Billy Stritch at the piano, Steve Doyle on bass, Daniel Glass on the drums. These guys are arguably three of the best musicians in town, if
Yeah.
not anywhere. Uh, the venue, Birdland, is iconic and top floor, top shelf.
Yeah.
Great sound, great lights, wonderful seating. It's kind of old school where people are around us. Um, and it's in Midtown. It's on 44th Street. So if you're interested in theater or music, or if you're a tourist, it's right there. So
Yes.
we fell into it.
Yeah.
And now it's still an open mic, but the people that come in are mind-blowing. A performance by, Cheyenne Jackson can be followed by a Long Island housewife who wrote a song about her feet. It's a showbiz democracy in the utmost,
Yeah.
at the utmost. Last night, we did it last night, of course. Well, it's not, of course, but this is
Yeah.
Tuesday
Yeah.
in
We're recording this on a
where we
Tuesday.
are right now.
Yeah.
Um, we had a fantastic, like 20-year-old kid who was obsessed with music from the early 1900s. So he's there with his banjo and kazoo, uh, killing. We had this
And these people
fantastic,
just show up.
yes,
It's crazy. It's awesome.
I can't book 20 people a week. We have
Right.
20 performers every single week. We would go from 9:30 to midnight. And at midnight, it's over, whether we're done or not. It's like, bye.
Yeah.
Because the staff at that point is like literally crawling. Um, we we've had six Oscar winners. We've had two Osmonds. We've had two Miss Americas. We've had one ex-Village People. Uh, 1,000 versions of Orange Colored Sky. I can't even imagine how many cocktails we've sold over 21 years. But
Wow.
it's just this wild, very upbeat, very sweet in nature, I have to think, because it's a positive experience for
It is.
everybody on stage. There's no booing, there's no judging. People clap for an up and comer as loud as they clap for Liza.
Yeah.
It's really democratic in that way. I sound goofy after all these years because I still love it so much. What started as this weird showbiz side gig has become just a huge part of my life.
And you've taken it. It hasn't just stayed at Birdland because I remember we did it and I joined you in Los Angeles. You've done it in London. Like how does that happen?
Well, I just I just book it.
Yeah.
Um, you'll be back in London in September. That's a yearly thing, which is just a joy. We're in Los Angeles a couple times a year. We're doing Palm Springs now, three or
That's
four times a
that's
year.
brilliant.
Beautiful, the beautiful McCallum Theater. Oh my
You
God.
do it at the McCallum?
Yes. The
Holy
Smith
cow.
Center in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Um, and we get to meet the most talented people in each city, whether it's those showbiz juggernauts, or we just did Pinehurst, North Carolina, which is not what you think of as a showbiz
Town.
capital. Yet we had some fantastic singers.
How
Then
did you end
Billy
up
and I
with
did a
Pinehurst?
master
Did
class.
you just get booked there or did you look at a space?
We got booked there,
That's
and
awesome.
we know people. I mean, that's part of I certainly don't know everybody that has venues,
Yeah.
but
Well, certainly Palm
one
Springs
tells
has a
the
lot of
other,
entertainers.
word of mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And we were talking again before we went live about how your vision of it has changed. My whole thing, and I've certainly my viewpoint, I think it's been there, but it has certainly expanded because as a performer, I'm always usually doing other people's stuff. I'm bringing other people's stuff to life, and I loved communicating, but I was communicating through other people's words or music or blocking. Well, I mean, mostly, like
Yeah.
we block ourselves, but there's guidance with a director. And I realized that the thing that I like the most about it is affecting one person positively. So if they leave the theater and they go, "Wow, I have hope." And you talked about how your vision for these performers and inspiring other people that has become that passion. So can you talk about that a little bit? Because that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
inspires me.
It's crazy. To me, well, okay. When I started this, I was just as self-absorbed and self-interested as any other performer. It was hard, and it's so embarrassing to constantly have to sell yourself because you're not selling a product like these ear pods. What are they called? Ear things.
AirPods.
AirPods. Thank you. Are fantastic. That's easy to sell. Just to point that to yourself,
Yeah.
not easy. It's embarrassing. It's awkward. So the fact that I have found a way to promote other people to shift the spotlight a little bit on somebody else changed my life. I never thought it would happen. I never thought I would care about anybody else. Yeah, I mean,
I
professionally
do.
speaking.
Yeah.
Um, and I really love watching performers gain confidence. These kids that come in, it's thrilling to me. That comes from having raw talent, being prepared, working with great musicians. I point
Mhm.
behind me because that's where they
Normally would be. Yeah.
on stage.
It'd be great if they
Um,
just popped up right on. Boop.
right. Having an eager audience and the power of a great song.
Yeah.
These kids grow. Kids. It's not all kids, by the way. It's people even older than me.
Yeah.
But it's thrilling, and that's a constant um, refreshment to me to keep going and to keep doing this. I have no doubts I'll be doing this when I'm 100, which is in 3 years.
You're looking good, kid. You're looking good. What is the trajectory? What do you want to do? I mean, are you do you want to just do more of the same? Do you want to expand it? Do you like what's the goal?
When I mean, what I always say, if anybody asks me that, is it's a television show. It is a television show.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's a variety television show, and those are now so cost prohibitive because of music rights.
Hmm.
You couldn't do the Carol Burnett show today.
Right.
You couldn't pay for those medleys that Peter Matz used to do for those TV shows. It would be, I don't know how they did it then, if that was before music rights
Yeah. Well,
really
they also
cracked.
had like some of them had full orchestras, you know? So
The Carol Burnett show had the most incredible orchestra that Peter Matz conducted. Um, I would, that would be my real dream, is to see this on the screen.
mhm.
We've certainly done it. We've live streamed it.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, I did Pajama Cast Party when everybody came from their sofa,
Right.
basically, and sang for us. That was a different time when everybody was sitting at home, and we would get like 15,000 views a week. It was
Uh,
unbelievable. That's a lot
it is a
for
lot.
someone who's not a superstar. Um, but we were booking superstars. I had Chenoweth on twice. I had uh Mary from the Supremes. God, I loved her.
Mm.
She passed away, but we had like real celebrities doing that, and up and comers and kids, and it was thrilling. So that would be my ultimate goal. I might have missed the youth train to host a variety show at this point.
I don't know about
Um,
that. I think things are changing. I had an idea and like I don't even know if it would, again, you might run into rights issues, but given that like you have so many amazing talents, you could do an album a year, that you release like
I know.
with some up and comers and some names and and even if it was just, if you did it for charity, because then the royalties
Right.
and rights are a little different, but to create that brand and you're doing it again and again and again and again and again. And here's the thing I talk about with Christmas
Absolutely.
specifically, like if you did a Christmas cast party album, those albums are like Bing Crosby is still selling, you know, and he's been far gone. Those are the kind of things that will play and play and play and play. But
I agree, and that is a great idea. Well, I did a Christmas album with Billy Stritch and Clea
I
Blackhurst
remember that.
a few years ago. We do a yearly show at Birdland called a Swinging Birdland Christmas, and it's old school entertainment. It's like the Osmonds Christmas special. You know, maybe that turns you on, maybe it turns you off, but it is a very wholesome, happy, upbeat
Yeah.
show. So a label, Club 44 record label, who we love, uh, actually nice people in the recording business. What?
Hmm.
Uh, Recorded it. It's our band, Steve Doyle, Daniel Glass, Dave Koz on sax. Donny Osmond makes a special appearance and sings with us.
Wow.
It's it's my happiest project to date. It's called Christmas at Birdland, and it's a very, very happy, well-produced um, project.
Did you record
So
it live?
no, it was like an actual
Oh,
studio
you went in the
thing.
studio.
It's like
That's
a real
awesome.
album,
Yeah.
and and it sells every year, and it
Yep.
kind of gets sells more every year,
Yep.
strangely.
Well, it's one of those
I
products. I
think
talk
the
about
records
that when
sell.
when I do shows, like I have the CD I did in 2010 and the recording that I did now recording. But if ever I go somewhere and I'm doing a concert, that is still a piece of merchandise for those of you out there who are like, I'm an artist. I don't know how to make money. Record something with the advent, like you can record something if you're a singer or an artist, or even when I was doing Camelot with Michael York and Rachel York, Michael recorded, of course, he's got that amazing voice that when he was younger and even at his older age, he recorded sonnets and poetry.
Oh,
It's so
great.
easy to do that, and that becomes a product. So if you're doing something, you can say, "Here, buy my product." and it will continue to grow. And that my album was 2010, and that thing still sells. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's true. And if you're an artist and you have to be told by people like us that you can do anything, I'm almost annoyed because I just did it.
Yeah, me too.
I just found a way to do it. And to me, if you're listening to us saying you can do it, you're not doing it. You have to figure it out. And because what worked for me, I mean, the way we can inspire is by saying,
Yeah.
do it. Do whatever it is, do it. But my trajectory, if you want to call it that, would not work for any other human in the world.
Well, look at my trajectory.
Because,
I mean, it was going one way, and then it took a severe turn, and then it had to go another way. But
well, but that's what happens.
yeah,
That's
it's
exactly
tenacity and its
what
drive and its focus and its purpose too. Because your
I had
purpose,
nothing else I wanted to do. There was
yeah,
nothing else. I
and
did
then but
PR
then your
for like a
purpose
minute.
within that purpose changed. And like when I see the joy that you have with watching a performer do something spectacular, that brings you joy.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's almost like sharing that purpose with other people. What's the thing that motivates you as like I not as a performer, not as a producer, not as a host or even the marketer or whatever you want to call it. What motivates you as a person in life?
Hmm. Nothing. No. Um,
And that's it. Thank you for joining us, Star Power.
drive carefully.
Bye.
That's where it should end.
Yeah.
That should,
Okay. Yeah.
or that's the pull quote.
Yeah. Instead of the outro, instead of the whole music outro, you just hear just crickets.
Please
And
add
the day
crickets.
Star Power died.
I I beg you to add crickets.
Oh my God.
Um,
Maybe I will.
I don't know. I mean, it is, I'm sorry to say it is professional because what and this is key, what my job is also my hobby, which is also my family, which is also, I work with people. I work with Billy Stritch, who
Mm.
is kind of like a brother to me. We've known each other 40 years. We're best friends. We travel together, we work together. It's so my job is my joy
Yeah.
in life. I'm not hooked up. I'm a single person, but all of that is what really motivates me. I was an only child,
Mm.
get weird, but I begged my parents for a brother or a sister because I wanted to be the Osmonds. I wanted that group of that cast around me of fun and entertainment, and that's what I wanted. And it's ironic that what I do now, so much of it involves big groups and casts of people singing and dancing and doing everything I watched growing up. I wanted that. And for heaven's sake, that's what has happened. So it was a very circuitous way. And it's not exactly, I should have in my hopes and dreams, I should have mentioned a cash prize because it's a lot of work, but I'm not on network TV doing all that. I'm live in small venues, but all over the place. So I guess that my joy comes from those relationships that I've forged and that have just come to me through Cast Party.
And what a blessing to be able to actually do what you love, and so many people do not.
Crazy. We had a guy named John Manzari tap dancing last night. He is so fantastic. He just did a big thing at Carnegie Hall. He's done Broadway stuff and he's just a genius. He also sings. But we were talking and I said, I mean, I tap dance like this much,
Right.
like not well and just very developmental tap.
Right.
And I said, we should do something. Like, what if we just did something? And he was like, I'm in. Let's just do it. I'll come up with some choreography. And I was like, no, really easy. Really easy. But like, I'm 100 years old. How fun is that I still get to kind of come up with an idea and make it happen?
For sure. For sure. Well, it's all about that. I cannot thank you enough for being on here. You're a true inspiration to me. You always make me smile when I see you. You're probably the best dressed man. I've always told you, and every time I see you in those exquisite bespoke suits, that I need some help, you know, because I wear black t-shirts and occasionally a little denim. Um, but I'm grateful that you're on here, and thank you for sharing all the wonderful
This is a
stuff.
blast. It's so fun to talk about myself.
Well, that's what we do when we're together anyway. We just talk about you and our
That's
shoes.
not true.
We didn't share our
You
shoe
once or
story.
twice. We've mentioned you once, maybe.
I'm kidding. Well, this is about you. It's me interviewing you. But
Oh, okay.
so you know, Cast Party at Birdland every Monday night. Obviously, if you're in New York City, run, and get on that stage and sing, or you know, play the banjo or the spoons or whatever you're going to do. It's a lot
Oh,
of fun.
we've never had spoons. I would love that.
You've just
We've
given
had
me an idea.
ventriloquists. We've had hula dancers. We've had a marionette guy. Um, that was
I always think of My Fair Lady when I think of Marionette. You know, the cover of the My Fair Lady album.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. This was not that.
yeah. Uh, well, again, my friend Jim Caruso, thank you for being here. I'm going to take us out. As I say all the time, your destiny is waiting. It's up to you to go and get it. We're going to see you on the next one. If you like the content of Star Power, we'd love to hear it. Give us a like and share it out to your friends.